Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me here today. We have all gathered here this afternoon to discuss inclusive education and some of its key avenues. We will address some terms and vocab, and I will also be speaking on and justifying the closure of our segregated learning unit, as I believe it is crucial towards the growth of strong communal values in our school. We will begin today with an acknowledgement to country. Our school would like to acknowledge the original custodians and the traditional owners of this land on which we walk, work, and learn. We acknowledge the connection to land and community. We pay respects to all elders, past, present, and emerging. Here we have some terms and vocab that you'll be hearing today: othering, gatekeeping, differentiation, adjustment, barriers, student agency, ableism on the same basis, the social model of disability, medical model of disability, equitable access, and participation. Moving on to the importance of inclusive education in Australia, I have 3 points that I would like to talk about today. So, first one being the commitment to inclusive education and educational equity. By transitioning from the medical model to the social model, schools can continue to prioritise differentiation and adjustments, removing barriers and creating a safe, respectful, and just environment where equal access to education, regardless of each student's identity, background, religious beliefs, or disability, are included. By continuing this method, schools can cater better to diverse learning needs and promote equity and fairness to all. Following on, to ensure that equitable access and participation in education is met, we need to be modifying and adjusting the learning environment, our teaching practices, and standardized testing to cater and meet every child's needs. This then relies on inclusive participation that allows for students to engage in not only academia but also extracurricular activities, as it fosters a strong sense of social integration. These equal opportunities for students are tailored to accommodate every success in that specific student's life. Finally, empowering student agency in inclusive education, allowing for students with disability to make their own decisions and to take ownership over their learning journey fosters active participation, leading to greater self-esteem, determination, and independence. The ownership of learning empowers students to take charge and allows for them to grow their responsibilities in their academic ventures. The evolution of inclusive education in Australia. We have 2 points to discuss here today: empowering students and ensuring equitable participation. We will start with empowering students. Inclusive education ensures that empowerment, self-determination, and independence can all impact a student with a disability to being able to have an active role throughout their whole learning experience. The medical model of disability was once a perspective that viewed having a disability as something that needed to be fixed or sought after by a medical professional. This approach was known to limit opportunities and ostracize students, not allowing for any active participation in a regular classroom environment. Opposing the medical model was the social model of disability. This characterized the need for the cultural, physical, and preconceived ideas to be removed from all societal barriers for each child to be able to completely and solely engage and thrive on their own terms. Moving on to ensuring equitable participation. The pivotal role of inclusive education ensures that equitable participation is achieved through students with disabilities or varying levels of needs are not to be treated as an other or segregated in any way. Through inclusion and integrated learning, it reinforces the rights of the student to have all the same avenues, opportunities, and experiences as their peers. The social model of disability exerts that students with varying needs cannot be excluded due to the fact that there are barriers that exist, but instead should be guided and supported to engage with all aspects of their schooling life. This then contrasts with the medical model disability, which does often lead to segregation of students into special education classes or integrated learning environments, leading on to limit the exposure each child has to the whole community. Moving on to my justification of the closure of our segregated unit. The reason we are gathered here today is because I believe our segregated learning unit should be closed. This is something that I've been contemplating for a while now, and I now believe in it so strongly that I wanted to address you all together. This unit, while some of you may see its potential, I believe it reinforces ableism and othering. It isolates students and denies them the opportunity to fully immerse themselves and integrate with their peers. I also believe this segregation contradicts ethics, equality, and social justice and prevents students from receiving equitable access to their education on the same basis as others. I strongly believe that the closure of the unit will create and foster an inclusive space that supports mutual respect throughout the school and foster a more collaboration than ever before. So we have 3 points to talk about for this one, starting with number one, segregated units reinforce ableism and othering. Instinctively, ableism is unfortunately promoted through segregated learning. It is a common belief that individuals with a disability are seen as less than or different from their peers. Through isolation, we inadvertently engage in othering. This is the action of making students feel marginalized or left out of their own community. Instead, inclusive education allows for everyone to be on the same basis, participate with their peers, and breaking down those barriers of unhealthy preconceived notions that students with disabilities are different or inferior. Number two, aligning with equity and legal obligations. By ensuring that every student has equitable access to the same opportunities towards growth in learning and participation, closing the segregated unit and removing the practice of gatekeeping will then fall into alignment with the core principles of equity and social justice. When we provide students with alike opportunities within learning and through engagement and interaction on the same basis as the rest of their mainstream peers, we meet ethical obligations and legal requirements. This then flows on to enhance a highly inclusive educational setting. Moving on to number three, promoting social justice and integration. Using on the same basis inclusion benefits students with higher needs. This encourages them to interact more freely with their peers rather than being rather than being in a separate segregated space and feeling more and more isolated. The shift from a segregated unit to an on the same basis learning approach ensures that students with a disability or varying needs are not viewed as other, but as a present and future contributing member to an ever-changing society. Social justice is also represented through an inclusive approach to learning. By closing our segregated unit and being a strong integrated school, we as a community can and will create an environment where every individual person can thrive to their fullest potential, strive to foster collaboration, empathy, and mutual respect. Moving on to the benefits for all stakeholders. Now, any individual that has a role in a child's life, from enhancing their quality of life to educating them through their life, is included as a stakeholder. This may be parents, teachers, and their spaces, the child and surrounding peers, and medical practitioners working with a multi and interdisciplinary team. So, starting on point number one, diving straight in here, we have enhanced social inclusion for students. Through providing equitable access and closing the participation gap in all classrooms, students and children have clear opportunities to thrive in both an academic and social space, regardless of their abilities. They are given true, meaningful opportunities designed through differentiation to allow them to join in and participate as each unique and individual need is met, empowering them with a greater range of student agency. Next, increased empathy and diversity awareness. By implementing adjustments and differentiation for students with additional needs, their peers are exposed to a deeper level of understanding and obtain a stronger connection of diversified or differentiated learning. Through the increased amount of awareness relating to equitable access and participation through differentiated learning also allows students to lean into a more compassionate state, preparing them to be strong global citizens. Moving on to improved teaching practices. Students are not the only ones who can benefit from an inclusive classroom. By gaining a clearer understanding of how we as teachers can execute adjustments correctly that reach those extenuating circumstances or extra needs of a student, we can embrace differentiation as a tool in its intended manner. As educators, we can adopt strategies and use these to foster student growth and continuous improvement. Number four is having a supportive environment for parents. Parents and carers often feel more at ease when they know and understand that schools are in their corner and are going to provide equitable access and participation for their child and ensure that the school and teachers will make available support and guidance through differentiation and adjustments. Now, this is made easier with more avenues that allow for open communication to flow. This allows parent teacher engagement to assist in the promotion of student agency. And last but not least, enhanced collaboration with medical professionals. For students with additional needs, having medical input is crucial to the development of the child as it allows them to receive the necessary support and guidance through their fundamental years of growth. By working with medical professionals along with a multi or interdisciplinary team, more effective pathways to assist the child open up. Using this as a holistic approach develops student agency by allowing the child to manage, to a certain extent, their own health whilst also still academically excelling with knowledge that both their teachers and educators and medical staff have their best interests and well-being at heart.